Hello everyone, I welcome all of you to this course Biology for Engineers, and now we are in Unit 2 Biomolecules. So in this particular unit on biomolecules, we are going to talk on various topics related to biomolecules, the most common biomolecules. So we are going to talk on carbohydrates, we are going to talk on lipids, we are going to talk on amino acids. Then we are also going to talk on proteins, which is connected with your amino acids. Then finally we are going to talk on nucleic acids. So under nucleic acids, we are going to cover the two most important nucleic acids, that is DNA and RNA, so which forms the basic part of our life. Okay, so in this particular video, first we'll start with the first topic of this unit, carbohydrates. So what is a carbohydrate and what it does? Okay, so carbohydrates are we commonly call it as saccharides. Okay, so these are the most abundant class of molecules. Okay, among all the other biomolecules, carbohydrates are the most abundant type. Okay, so present in larger quantity. So these carbohydrates are used to store energy, though they serve other important functions as well. So they have like many functions. The main function of the carbohydrate is to store the energy. Okay, so for our survival and to do all our functions, we need some energy. Okay, so this energy is stored in the form of carbohydrates. Okay, and all the carbohydrates usually contain the same three elements. Okay, there are like many types of carbohydrates, but whatever it is, if you take any carbohydrate, it's going to have the same three elements. Okay, so whether the carbohydrates are simple sugars or it's like a complex one like a starch or other polymers, whatever it is, the elements are going to be carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so CH for hydrogen and O for oxygen. So CHO is going to be carbohydrates. That's why the name also derived from. So C carbo, then hydrates, water, so hydrogen plus oxygen, so that's why hydrates. Okay, so this is what a carbohydrate is. Now, so the word carbohydrates comes from the Greek word saccharon. Okay, so which means sugar. Okay, so whenever we taste something that is sugary, okay, so sweet, okay, it's going to have a carbohydrates. So in chemistry, carbohydrates are a common class of simple organic compounds. Okay, so a carbohydrate is an aldehyde or sometimes a ketone. Okay, so that has additional hydroxyl groups. Okay, so the simplest carbohydrates are called as monosaccharides. Okay, very simple form. Okay, single unit we call it as monosaccharide, which have the basic structure CH2O N, where N is 3 or usually greater. Okay, so this is the generic formula of a carbohydrate. Okay, so whenever you eat a sweet, okay, or like sugar, anything, it's going to have a carbohydrate in it. Okay, so I already told monosaccharide is the most simplest form of carbohydrate. Okay, then what is the next level of this carbohydrate? Okay, so if two monosaccharide units, okay, so a single unit of carbohydrate is monosaccharide. Okay, so if these two units of monosaccharide join together, they form a thing called as disaccharide. Okay, already I told saccharide means carbohydrate, so di means two, so we are going to have two carbohydrates units. That's why the name disaccharide. So monosaccharide and disaccharides are called usually sugars. Okay, and typically have names ending with the suffix "-ose". Okay, so anything ending with "-ose" are either a monosaccharide or a disaccharide. For example, a common "-ose" that we know very well is a glucose. Okay, so glucose, fructose, lactose, likewise anything ending with "-ose". Okay, so it is a sugar which is a monosaccharide or a disaccharide. So more than two monosaccharides link together to form oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. Okay, so the first level is monosaccharide, then two monosaccharides join together form disaccharide, then more than two monosaccharides they join to form oligosaccharides. Okay, so oligosaccharides is from the range 2 to 10 monosaccharide units. Okay, so 2 means disaccharide, 3 means trisaccharide. So likewise unto 10 monosaccharide units we call it as oligosaccharides. Okay, and if it's like above 10 monosaccharide units, sometimes it's like about 20 monosaccharide units, we call it as polysaccharides, where poly means many. So many carbohydrate units joined together, it forms polysaccharides. Okay. So what is the common function of this carbohydrate? Okay, so we know what is a carbohydrate, what is the function of a carbohydrate. Okay, then basically what function it's going to do, why it's like the most abundant biomolecule. Okay, so the major function of carbohydrates are like several. Okay, they have served several biochemical functions. Okay, so for example, monosaccharides serve as fuel for cellular metabolism. Okay, so for the survival of the cell, it has to undergo the metabolism. Okay, so it serves as a fuel. Okay, and it also used in several biosynthesis reactions inside the body of all organisms. Okay, and monosaccharides can be converted into space saving polysaccharide. Okay, so instead of having, so imagine you are having thing to save your money. Okay, so instead of having like coins, 1 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin, 5 rupees coin, you can have it in like the higher amount, that is like 2000 rupees note. So the highest amount we have like 2000 rupees note, or something more if you have, you can have it in that form. So you save space. Okay, so similarly inside our body, to save space, okay, for this energy storage, okay, you need more energy. Okay, so instead of having it in the form of monosaccharide, we can have it in the form of polysaccharides. Okay, so examples of polysaccharides are like glycogen in animals and starch in plants. Okay, so these molecules provide stored energy for, it's like an energy reserve for plants and animal cells. Okay, so whenever you need, you can take like an ATM machine, okay, from this reserve. Okay, so carbohydrates are used to form structural elements such as chitin in animals and cellulose in plants. Okay, so sometimes, so already we know, so main function is providing energy and it helps in biosynthesis and metabolism, but apart from that, it is also used to form some structures. Okay, to provide a structure for some particular thing. For example, in plants, already we have studied in unit 1, the cell wall of plant is made up of cellulose. Okay, so in bacteria it will be in peptidoglycan, but in plants it is made up of cellulose. Similarly, in animals there is a thing called as chitin. Okay, so which is also a polysaccharide thing, which is in the form to produce a structural element. Okay, the last like function is like carbohydrates and modified carbohydrates are important for an organism's fertilization, which is like needed for the to provide the offspring. Okay, so organisms fertilization during development process, and even the blood clotting. So we have bloods, if the blood is not clotted, you will be losing lot of bloods and eventually die. So this blood clotting factors also have carbohydrates in it. Okay, and last but not least, your immune system function also is regulated by these carbohydrates. Okay, so basically whatever we do have, okay, not just human beings, even plants, animals, everything, it relies on this carbohydrate very much for its survival and function. Okay, so that's why carbohydrates are present abundant in nature. Okay, so this is about carbohydrates and its functions. Okay, so in the upcoming video we will see about the different types of carbohydrates. Okay, so what are all the different classes? Already we have seen monosaccharide, disaccharide, polysaccharide. So in the upcoming video we will see one by one what is or these types and the examples of each of these types.